Alright, so we're in the shed this time and we've got Gary Nidlin's Pajero Sport Exceed. 2019, is it?
2021.
2021. Whew, fancy. Anyway, because in the last video you would have seen that they had bought an Opus OP4, we don't have any electric brake controller on here and we don't have an Anderson plug for charging the new lifting setup that we put in the Opus in the last video. So now we're going to crawl around underneath there, get dirty, and we're going to run some cables and put a RedArc Tow-Pro Elite version 3 in it. And we're hopefully not going to stuff up the computer. I've actually got a little diode. RedArc wanted $59 or something for their diode. I've got a 7 amp diode from J-Car. We're going to put that on there. It's kind of like a check valve for electronics, and that's going to stop the RedArc from backfeeding the brake light power into the system and screwing up the CAN bus and the ECU and causing all sorts of dramas if you hit the emergency button on the Tow-Pro. So we're going to get into all of that. Let's do it right now. Alrighty, so what we've gone and got is one of these Trailer Vision Anderson plug covers. These are really nice. Gives you a nice weatherproof box and a little flap that covers up your Anderson plug, stop it getting covered with mud. We've got ourselves some twin core 8 gauge for the Anderson plug, so that'll run all the way direct to the battery via a super crap auto 50 amp automatic circuit breaker. We've got ourselves a little weatherproof fuse holder for the brake controller, an Anderson plug to go inside of there. We've got the Mitsubishi Toyota switch plate for the RedArc, because these are a pain to drill out because they've got that little hole for the LED and the circle. We've got ourselves a diode, which is this little thing here that we're going to hook up, and that's going to stop the backfeed issue. Got ourselves some lugs and obviously some various different lengths and sizes of conduit, and the most important thing, the Tow-Pro Elite. I'm already tired, Gary.
Yeah.
And we're already drinking beer and have been for quite a while. Do you think we should have done the beer drinking after we did the brake stuff?
Yeah, possibly.
Maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah. What could possibly go wrong, right? Well, even though it doesn't have the LED on this version 3, you can't tell anyway. It covers it up with this knob, so oh, well, that's still cool. That was still worth it. That still looks nice. Hopefully it fits in the Pajero Sport somewhere. Yeah. Let's go find out, I suppose. Well, so far so good. This has been really easy. Just one Phillips screw down here, and this whole thing just popped off. Just popped out these connectors here. Don't worry about the one down there. And yeah, just knocked out the blank plate that was there, and we're in and ready to go. And I mean, it's a slightly different color. It doesn't actually look that bad in real life. It's just on camera it looks a really different color, but it actually looks pretty factory, so that's nice. All right, I only did that because it was the easy bit and I can't be bothered doing anything at the moment, so I think we're going to get the brake controller and we're going to cable tie it up in there somewhere, I think is the plan. Alright, so I think that's where we're going to have the brake controller. What a neat little spot for it, right next to where we need to plug it in. Just going to cable tie it around that metal part there. And this is a little trick for when you're trying to get cable ties around in a circle like that. Just put a few bends in them, and you can actually bend that a little bit more than I've got at the moment. Just really kink it like that. You just do that all the way around like that, and then when you feed it in, it's going to naturally want to come back around to you. There you go, there's a little tip on cable ties. Well, I've just finished putting that in, so now we've just got to do all the wiring. I've already plugged in the cable for the button, because that's right up the top there, so I wanted to do that before I mounted it, and that should just click in here. We'll sort that out, neaten that up, and then we've got to work out how we're going to get the cables through to get the power and the trailer connections done through the firewall. I'm assuming that That's going to be down here where these spotlight cables go through. We should be able to use that same path and get it all sorted out. Okay, so I finally got some cable through the firewall. It's actually really hard to get to. There was already a spotlight cable going through down in there, so I was able to just poke that through the same slit, and now I've actually taped another cable, or same sort of cable, on there so I can pull it through, and that'll give me one pair for battery power and the other pair for the brake light and brake electric brake control output. So that one cable will go to the back of the car into the trailer plug, and the other cable will go to the battery. So let's try and pull this through. And there we go. So now we've got both pairs of cables through, so we can hook that all up to these ends here, and we can start putting all of this back together again. I've got all of those cables soldered up. We've plugged in the controller dial Duva thing, so it's pretty much time to put all this part back together again. And while I'm doing that, Gary over here is putting all of this wire into conduit, which he's now going to have to move back because I pulled the slack through.
No worries. I can do that.
And then we're going to run both of those bits of conduit across here. One will go to the battery and one's going to drop down and go along to the back of the car. Now the reason why I'm not running it through the interior of the car is because we've got the Anderson plug to do as well, which is this 8-gauge cable here, and that's going to run from the battery and go straight back down along with the brake controller cable, so they'll both go together. So we'll cable tie them together and shoot them all the way along underneath the car somewhere out of the way. I've gone this side for two reasons. One, because it's the shortest route from the battery, but also because it's the cold side where turbo and exhaust and everything is on this side, so it's going to make it more difficult running the cable along the chassis on that side. Not too much to go. Got to work out where I'm going to put the circuit breaker in here for the 8-gauge as well. But yeah, getting there. Alrighty, so there it all is. Not plugged in or anything yet, but that looks neat as. So progressing slowly. Lots of cable going in. Alrighty, so we're up to the wiring to the battery stage. So I've just made this little sort of wiring loom up here. So this comes from the brake controller inside, and then I've just got an earth, and then we've got the fuse holder here and the positive. So in theory, when we tuck this all down, the earth will go there, the positive will go there, and the fuse holder will tuck down where these fuse holders someone else put in for the spotlights. So that should tidy that up. Then we just got to work out where the circuit breaker is going to go for the Anderson plug, and crimp the lugs onto this 8-gauge. And that's the whole front part done. Gary's already run the signal and brake control cable and the 8-gauge down to the chassis rail. We're just trying to work out a way to secure this a little bit better because it's sort of hanging off the main loom at the moment. But we'll get that sorted out. And then it's just a matter of getting under the car and cable tying it all along and wiring up the back half. There we go. I just took a little notch out of this cover here just so that would fit through there nicely. And there's our RedArc wiring for power for the brake controller. Now you can see here we should get some power. Let's see what happens. Yes, all right, beautiful. Alrighty, so we've got the 8-gauge terminated, I've just mounted this here. It's a bit, not sure if I like it, but it'll do for now. Made up another little loom, and we've got this coming from the circuit breaker that we'll put onto there when we're ready to go. And Gary is just about finished. Oh, that's a nice view of Gary's crotch. So we're just pulling the trailer plugs off, and we're going to have to terminate the Anderson plug wiring and mount that into that trailer vision adapter thing there. And then we've got to hook up the RedArc into the trailer plug. Then we're just about done. Well, we're just wiring up the last little bit, and that's where we've got to put this little diode in so that we don't backfeed voltage from the brake controller into the CAN bus of the Pajero and cause all sorts of problems. So I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to do this, but I'm thinking I'm going to solder the brake wire from the car to the on pin, and 2 wires, the brake controller and a little short jumper lead, to the trailer pin on the other pin, and that should hopefully give us what we want. So let's give that a crack, see what happens. Alrighty, so my soldering was a bit ugly. It's really getting quite cold out here. The wind is gusting through and cooling my soldering iron down all the time. Alright, so I've got the diode in there. It actually sits reasonably neatly in there. I am guessing this is going to work. I'm not going to put this all together. I'm just going to leave it like that. We're going to move it over and plug it into the camper, I think, and see what happens. Alright, well there you go. We've just tested it, and it seems to be working. We can't do a full test until they pack up their camper tomorrow, but the brake controller was detecting the trailer, and the brake lights are all working, so everything seems to be good. So there's the Anderson plug, there's the 7-pin flat, and yeah, it's all looking pretty good. Alrighty, so that's the end of this video. Just a simple one, putting in a brake controller and an Anderson plug, but man, it took actually a surprisingly long amount of time. But it's all done and it's all ready to go. So thanks for watching. Hope you find it useful, and see you in the next one.